Hello, welcome to this update. Let's see some important stuff for Asia and Africa. So first in India here, in Bangladesh and Southeast Asia, we still have a lot of rain from the monsoon, of course, and it's forecast to get heavier in parts of northern India this week. So we will take a look at some rainfall totals there, and still some rain along the west coast there, and some heavy rains depending on the day, but there'll be higher totals in northern India there. And Nepal is also getting a lot of rain, Bangladesh, Myanmar too. So let's see here some rainfall. So in the next 24 hours, as of July 1st, so let's see. The euro has some higher totals in these areas of western India there. In the next 24 hours, the GFS has barely nothing there in the next 24 hours. And the icon is similar to the euro, but a little bit further east, most of the rainfall in the next 24 hours. But let's see, some northern India, Nepal, in Bangladesh, too, northeastern India, some higher totals in the next 24 hours, and western India. But let's see some longer range in the next 3 days now. So this is until July 4th, I think. So more totals along western India, especially some of these areas in pink. They say like 27 millimeters, but these pink areas are like 100 millimeters, 90, further south here 98, 127 millimeters along the coast there. So let's see, for western India too some, but it starts increasing parts of northern India here, and up to 157 millimeters in some areas there in the next 3 days, 192, 168 in Nepal, but not all of Nepal, and mainly some specific mountainous areas there, and some valleys. But like northwestern Nepal will be a little less rain, but these areas in pink will get more than 140 millimeters the next 3 days. And especially this area in northeastern India here might get almost to 200 millimeters in some of these areas here, 204 too, like semi-northeastern India, because actually not northeastern India is here, but these areas like the junction between Bangladesh and the rest of northeastern India. So for northern Bangladesh shows a lot too, especially northwestern and northeastern Bangladesh. And these areas here of between Bangladesh and northeastern India shows up to 400 millimeters just in the next 3 days in those areas here. This is just a forecast. This model could change and everything, because that's very high, but just keep in mind, but it could change. So in Bhutan, especially southern Bhutan there, like 108, 136 millimeters in some areas there. So let's see here in the next 5 days for northern India. So in the next 5 days it already increases even more. So next 3 days and next 5 days for Nepal and northern India here. Not like northernmost India, but these areas of semi-northeastern India, like near Nepal. So let's see, up to 168 millimeters, 187 in some areas, 143 in Nepal there, might be like between 135, 134, 160 millimeters, you can see here. And in extreme eastern Nepal, it might get up to 200 millimeters even almost 300. And these areas here between the junction with northeastern India might get more than 300 millimeters in the next 5 days. So let's see further west here. There's some areas of Nepal here, but also showing like 278 in some areas, 160 millimeters. Further north, a little more too. And along the west coast, it has increased a little bit too, between 3 and 5 days. So let's see here. These pink areas, let's see, around 250, 240 millimeters, 245. Further inland, a little bit less, but still some rain, 260, 250 millimeters. Further north too, more rain. And let's see here, in central India, might get some rains too, but not much as in the west and in the north. And let's see, for Bangladesh here, there are these areas in northern Bangladesh might get like 200, and further south 100 and something. And like extreme southern Bangladesh will be better, like 80 millimeters, 100. But like northeastern Bangladesh will be the worst here, more than 300 millimeters, even 400. In these areas of northeastern India too, it shows like 500 millimeters in those areas. So as I told you, this could change, but we gotta keep in mind. And extreme southern Bangladesh here shows like 200 to 190. And these are the areas of northeastern India, shows like 200, 100 millimeters, 274, depending depending on the location. So in these other areas here around 200, 100. So let's see here for Myanmar. In the middle of the country might get less, and some eastern areas less, but these areas of western Myanmar might get more, around 250, 269 millimeters. And as always, northern Myanmar will get like almost 400 in some areas, 300, 300, just a lot of rain. Let's see, in Bhutan here, in the next 5 days, might get more than 200 in the southernmost areas, like 100 and maybe 200 in other areas. Southern China here, some areas of southern China near India might get like 187, 200 millimeters, depending on the location too. But let's see here, for the rest of Myanmar, some areas to the south might get like to the 90s, 100 millimeters. Further south here, a little bit less. And for Thailand here, it's doing fine. Just some showers and storms sometimes, but around the 40s and 20s millimeters in the next 5 days. There will be more in parts of Laos, between Thailand and Laos, right in that area. So around 90 and 80 in some areas there. So let's see. And in Cambodia, it shows like into the 50s millimeters, further north into the 80s in some of the pink areas. In Laos too, Vietnam, it shows some areas with more there. And especially northern Vietnam and northern Laos here, the areas close to China, so shows more than 100 millimeters in these areas of northern Vietnam there. And especially China here, because of all those storm systems that keep happening. So especially in these central eastern areas, so like 100, 200 millimeters, depending on the location, 100, 127. Further north here, like 109. Especially in these east central areas here of China, shows like 148, 160, 170 millimeters, 170 around there, 178. and also some areas of northern China near North Korea too, around 100 and something there. So let's see, South Korea more too, as some areas higher, totals around the north there, and a little bit lower there, but in the south might get more there, around those areas. So let's compare these areas, like 3 days and 5 days, 24 hours and 5 days. Oh, good. So let's see. For Japan, it shows some areas of western Japan, like south central western Japan, some areas with more than 180 millimeters there. The next 5 days, some areas of Japan there too, 40, 50, 70 millimeters, depending on the area. Further north, a little bit of rain too. And further south here, some areas with more too. And near Osaka and in those areas, like into the 80s millimeters, maybe 90. So let's see here. Here for India again, so this was the euros. So let's see what the GFS has for India. So the similar thing, lots of rain in northern India and Nepal, Bangladesh, and those areas. So the GFS has around 200, 100 millimeters. Further north, 100. Nepal has mainly southern Nepal there, around 200, 100. And let's see, northern Bangladesh, especially around 200, southern Bhutan, northeastern India. So remember the euro had 400 there, the GFS has only around 158. So we gotta keep watching that. And further south in Bangladesh and Myanmar, it has like 190 millimeters, some areas of 200 here, 200 further south here, 200. Yeah, so let's see. In China, it has a little bit less, but still some areas with more, especially these areas here going into the Koreas too. So Japan has a little bit less, but more in those similar areas. Western India too, it has into the 100 millimeters. And let's see, Myanmar there, parts of Indonesia too, more rain, depending on the area, you might get more too. So let's see, for these islands here, shows more accumulations. For Malaysia, in some areas there up to 104 the next 5 days. And let's see, Thailand, Cambodia, generally that same thing. And the icon has the similar idea for South Korea, North Korea. For those areas of China, it has a lot. Northern Myanmar, Bangladesh, northeastern India, and northern India there a lot, and parts of western India too. So yeah, be aware. And there's in Central Asia, there are also these accumulations around Russia and Kazakhstan for maybe some systems in the next few days. We already talked about Russia in the Europe video, but there'll be a lot of storms there. Let's see, Far Eastern Russia, some accumulations too, Northern Russia. And let's see, maybe, where is it? I know it's summer, but let's see if there's any snowfall for Northern Russia. In Tibet too, in some areas there. Even Norway. So let's see here. The temperature is important too. So during the hottest time of the day, like the maximum temperatures in the Middle East, especially in Pakistan, they might be around the 40s, and very high in the 40s around southern Pakistan and the Iran there, especially southern Iran. So around 47, even 50 there in some areas. So Yes, so this is southern Iran. It has around 48 and even 50 in a spot or two there. So please be careful. And further north here, also very high, around 46, 47 in those areas there. Here too, around 47 in like central Iran. And let's see here, in Afghanistan, very hot into the far, especially southern areas. Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, in the 30s. It might get hotter depending on where you're at. And northern Iran here, like near Kuwait and Iraq, might get very hot too. In this very dark areas, around 47, 46. So very hot temperatures. In Saudi Arabia here too, and Qatar, very high into the 40s. And let's see, there are these valleys here into the 30s and 40s, and parts of Eastern Asia into the 30s too. So in Southeast Asia, into the 30s, some tropical weather, high into the 30s in parts of India. And let's see how this might progress in the next few days. So you have the day here. Let's see. So by Thursday, it will be a similar thing, maybe hotter in some central areas there, and less in southern Iran. And let's see. Sorry. By Friday, it shows still very hot there, but a little bit better in those areas there. Let's see, by Saturday, still very hot in the Middle East, but those areas look better. Yeah, and more things. So this is generally it. Let's see if there will be any big wind events. So it's mainly those winds in Somalia there in the Arabian Sea. They are strong. The winds from those storm systems in the Koreas, Japan and China. And occasionally in Russia, some stronger winds too with other systems. It's showing like very strong there in some areas with this system. So yeah, be aware. Parts of Alaska too, a little bit gustier. And let's see, for Africa here, mainly like northeastern Africa and the Middle East, some gustier winds. Occasionally in South Africa and in the ocean there, in the Indian Ocean. And by Thursday shows some stronger winds closer to South Africa. And let's see, occasionally in a place or two in Northern Africa, especially in Northwestern Africa there. Might get a stronger gust or two. But what I wanna show you here is the rainfall in the next 3 days. It shows more in parts of Ethiopia there in the next 2 days, in Eritrea, Central African Republic, Cameroon. It shows more in Nigeria too in the next 3 days, Togo, and generally these tropical areas. But what I want to show you are these higher rainfall totals in parts of Liberia here, around 154, and in these other areas around 147 here in the next 3 days. In the next 5 days, it raises a little bit in these areas of Sierra Leone and Liberia here, mainly because of the tropical rains and the tropical waves coming off here. So more heavy rains there. In southern Africa, we might get a rain or two there. We had some severe storms today, but I think they will be going away. And let's see. It shows a rain or two in Kenya, maybe northern Tanzania, and not much else in the north there. So the GFS has a similar thing, like those areas of Cameroon, Nigeria, and Western Africa, and the icon too, Ethiopia and those areas. So yeah, be aware. And the temperatures, they are very scorching in northern Africa, especially these areas of Algeria, Mali. So it shows like 48, even 49 in some areas. 48, even 50. Look at this, 50 there in parts of, I think that's Western Algeria, parts of Mali, Mauritania too. So in Libya and other parts of Algeria, very hot too. Let's see, in Egypt it's into the 30s and maybe 4 in a place or two. In Sudan it's into the 40s in some areas, but the main heat wave is this area here, so stay safe. And a little bit colder in the south, of course, and this is mainly it. So thanks for watching.